Hi, this is Sibila Extreme Vocal and welcome to the 4th episode of the free analysis of your extreme vocals. Extreme Vocal Doctor series where I analyze the recordings from you. Try my best to tell what is already good or great or even perfect in your current vocal technique and what may require fixing and how to do it step by step. I've randomly chosen 3 recordings for today's analysis. Let's fucking begin. The first recording, I don't know what it will be. I've just randomly chosen 3 recordings, placed them in a folder, and who knows what will happen. That was pretty interesting change of an atmosphere and the technique. Alright, so here we have a recording called Chujowy Fry Cream, which means shitty fry cream, from Ćma. Ćman means a moth in English. Alright, so and the guy is from Poland, and apparently he wanted to perform some fry cream, and later he transitions from Kargyra throat singing into a growl. And now, let's take a look what Ćma, the moth, has to tell us. It's in Polish, so I will make a quick translation for you. So it's like, okay, I am learning extreme vocals since 1.5 years. I think that Kargyra and false-core growl are pretty good, but my fry scream sounds like the biggest shit possible. I feel that it's very constricted, but I have hard time in relaxing it. This is a short recording, and that's all I can do for now. When it comes to my nickname, let it be Goboom. Fuck, so I fucked this up. He wanted to be Goboom, and I introduced him as Ćma, the moth. Anyway, I hope you will forgive me. Anyway, let's give a listen from the very beginning. That fry stream actually, from what I heard, was pretty decent for a beginner. Of course, there are people who are able to perform songs or even record an album or short demo or even a single cover with a decent fry scream. They can pronounce words, they can scream whole lines, whole verses, and so on, and it's easy for them. But the most of people really struggle with the fry scream technique. For many people, it's like one technique is dominating. I was, for example, a false chord guy. I learned false chord pretty fast once I started to do stuff properly, but fry scream, damn, that was a heavy experience, and it took me around 2.5 years to be really able to perform the fry scream as I wanted to do it. Anyway, let's give a listen from the very beginning. Alright, so now I hear a few little mistakes that can be fixed. Try to listen once again and tell by yourself what is good, what requires fixing, and what are your ideas to actually do it, to fix it, to make it better. I have a few observations. The beginning is pretty good. It's smooth. It's like a crescendo, like easing into the sound instead of attacking it with force. So that little can be helpful to soften the very beginning of the sound. So that's a good move. But then I hope you can hear it. I hear it clearly. That beside the fry itself, the pressure is a bit too high. Like vocal folds were connecting a bit too much, and the pressure from below, maybe the breath support was too heavy, or maybe you tried to use too much air, but the pressure seems to be too high and vocal folds seem to be connected too firmly. That's a very common thing when it comes to the beginning of the fry screen practice. It's a pity that you didn't mention how long actually you do fry scream, because 1.5 year, you could focus mostly on throat singing or a false chord growl, and maybe fry scream is something more fresh, you know? It sounds like you were practicing it for around 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 months, but let's tell around 3 months. Usually people sound like this after 3 months. The good thing, of course, is that you are able to do the fry scream. It's not too loud, it's not too big, it's just a single syllable or vowel, and so it's nothing sophisticated. But the good thing is that you are able to fry. And the thing that requires fixing is obviously figuring out how to not push so hard from below. Maybe beside using the support, you also tighten your ups, because I will show you an example, a basic fry, like, and now I tightened my ups, like, you know, the six-pack muscles. I don't have a six-pack yet, but anyway, some muscles are there. So if beside the breath support, which means engagement of the core muscles, deeper muscles, breathing muscles that surround the diaphragm, we start to engage the six-pack muscles, then we create extra tension and pressure that also has its reflection in our larynx and our throat, where that tension and pressure appears as well. So as you heard, that's a normal fry, and while making that noise, I tightened my abs, and suddenly the sound was, instead of started to be like this, which is, first of all, not the most comfortable thing to do, because I already feel a little irritation inside of my larynx and the vocal tract, which got constricted as well. The vocal tract is a place between the area of the soft palate and your larynx, kind of a pathway or something. It narrows a bit for doing the fry scream or a fry noise, but never should close and get too tight. It impacts everything we do with our voice. Even speaking, you know, I now speak with tightened abs, or that's a basic growl, and now it sounds like this. Not because of not the best placement or using too much air, or I don't know, connecting vocal folds too much. The very source of that constriction is in my belly, which got tightened. Check if you overuse the support, or maybe instead of using the support itself, you tighten your abs, because those two things, and sometimes trying to overuse the support, will also tighten your abs, because your body will start to look for a place that it can use to create higher tension or pressure. It's just like compensating at the gym, you know? You bench press, and the intensity and the way is too high, and then your body looks for other places to engage for you to be able to bench press such a heavy way, you know, but it can lead, for example, to dislocating the shoulder. I know one guy who really progressed fast, like after 4 months, to bench press 100 kilos, and after a couple of weeks he was bench pressing 60 kilos and he dislocated his shoulder. So with vocals it's sometimes the same. If we aim for too high intensity or too high volume or too high pitch, and we think that we have to tighten something more, much more than it's really necessary, or we are not able yet to properly deliver necessary pressure or tension, then our body will start to look for places that can compensate the lacks of our technique. And then, instead of using the support properly, we can start to tighten our abs, or shoulders, or neck, or jaw. Tightening those places will also make our vocals sound constricted and pushy. So, next example with the fry scream and jaw. Now my jaw is relaxed. And again, basic fry. And tighten jaw. The difference is huge. Also, massive tension appeared in the area of my larynx. Because when we tighten our jaw, then our vocal folds tighten as well. And it's totally unnecessary thing. It's also unhealthy. And even it can lead to headaches because the jaw joint is also connected to your temples. If the word temples is not correct, then correct me please, but I think it's temples. So you can have a headache and pain in the area of your temples because you tighten your jaw. Anyway, again, take a closer look at how you support. If the sensation of what you do while performing the fry scream is closer to like to hissing in the area of your belly and back and your sides, if the sensation that follows performing the fry scream are closer to hissing, or maybe it's closer to tightening your abs, a six-pack. So if it's something like more like this, or is it something more like this? That's a really important question to answer. Let's listen again. Maybe we will hear something else. You can simply also try to add too much voice or over project your fry screen to make it bigger. When it's more laid back and relaxed, it sounds like this. It's a totally basic sound. The volume is not too big. It's around the level of my speaking volume or something like this. So it's like, but when I start to push that sound a little bit more in order to make it bigger, sharper, just listen what is happening. My vocal folds are tightening more, and more. And instead of frying, they are starting to create a constricted, squeezed, clean. Not too clean, but in terms of action vocals, it's clean voice still, a clean constricted sound. Because I am simply like, pushing against the sound too much. So another thing that you can try to do is to imagine like when you start to do a fry, you push against the wall, like, and then you gradually stop to push against that wall and observe if the sound is getting more relaxed and less voicey, less constricted and forceful. So it can sound like this. It worked for quite a few people that I practice with who are struggling with pushing the fry without any intention to push. But in practice they were pushing, but they didn't know that. So it can be something like this. Did you hear how the sound changed? Because in my imagination, I stopped to push. I've relaxed. I moved back a little bit. And I just wanted to decrease the pressure that I create on the sound. And so this is something that you can check and see if the situation will be better or not. Overall, it's not as bad as you described it, but it's not perfect as well yet. But there is definitely a potential. Okay, and now let's listen to the second part of the recording.
Desire since I was born to see my body repentine, to see my flesh devoured before my eyes.
Those vocals remind me of Gorefest band. Everything's so big, so loud, so like gritty and intense. And your vocals, Goboom, remind me very much of Gorefest vocalist, especially in the song Erase, and because that's the only song that I remember from a title. The Kargira part is just perfect. Also, the way you breathe is good because it's not like I don't hear any kind of breathing, so it's very good because the breath should be fast, silent, and deep at the same time. So the Kargira part, the beginning of the Kargira, is decent. It's just very smooth, gentle beginning, confident but not aggressive. And then you transit into the false chord. It reminds me also a little bit of Alex Terrible, but your pitch is kind of like mid, and Alex does it like 2 octaves lower or something like this, or at least 1 octave lower. But anyway, the vibe is similar because it's just getting bigger, stronger, and closer to yelling, combined with throat singing and false chord. Not a typical growl like so that's the similarity, like aiming for a combination of Kargira, yell, and false chord, not the typical death metal growl. But of course, Alex uses much lower pitch than you or me. That's his style, and that's fucking cool. I think that the beginning is good, but as you try to grow the sound bigger, it's simply too aggressive, it's too pushy, it's too so why don't you try to make it with a little bit more tenderness? Tenderness is not the word that we think of when we practice extreme vocals, screaming, making toilet noises and stuff like that. But it's worth trying, because now it's
Too much like this.
and it can be like this. Literally, like this. Instead
Like this.
okay, so an example. First, I would try to do something like you. So let's give a listen. Okay, that was the growl part, and now the transition from Kargura into the growl.
Erase. Yeah. It's very heavy. It's so pushy.
It doesn't have to be so. It doesn't have to be that big, tightened, compressed, and gritty at all. Actually, after a couple of attempts like this, I feel a little dizziness in my head, like the pressure increased suddenly, And also there is kind of like hyperventilation, you know, when too much oxygen gets into your brain. So it's simply like this, and it can be an example.
It can be like this. It's not so pushy. It's not so compressed.
And I don't try to make that sound so big, so huge, so monstrous. Nothing like this, just
Something like this.
and it's also a basic sound. It's much effortless. As previously, try to observe if your support works properly or maybe you tighten your ups. Observe also how you produce the sound, because maybe you try to increase the volume and the intensity of the sound too much too early. So try to transit from your throat singing more gently and smoother. Then it's more simple. It's much more effortless. But there is definitely potential, especially if you are interested in vocals like in Gorefest, or if you were interested in pursuing a style like Alex Terrible. But for Alex Terrible style, there is definitely too much push on your vocal folds. They also create, due to that, higher pitch. The tighter they get, the higher pitch they will produce. So if you wanted to make lower pitch, lower growl, deeper sound, then decrease the tension on the vocal folds, which means push less against the sound, which means not try to aim for such a big volume and intensity, which means to again kind of ease into the sound, smoothly transit from throat singing, and instead of like this, try this. And it's much more simple, effortless, comfortable, easier. Alright, so this was Goboom and his pretty decent attempts for the fry scream and the false chord. Balance. Again, I am repeating myself in each episode. Balance is key to everything. Balance in how much support we need to use, how much air we need to use, where we should direct the airflow to create a specific sound, and so on. Just a matter of balance. Okay, and now let's move to the second recording. What we will have there, I don't know. That was pretty long. Cool. It looks like today we deal a lot with the fry scream. That's pretty interesting. Especially that recordings were chosen randomly. Anyway, this is a recording from Soul Takers. Let's see the message. Hello there. First and foremost, I gotta say I am very grateful for all the help and insight you provide in your videos. It helped me a lot to really understand fundamentals of proper placement and support for extreme vocals. I am very happy to read that, and this is why I do it. And I am really happy when someone writes to me that my stuff was helpful. I do singing. I've been singing for my whole life, not making a living out of it, though. So I already had some experience regarding belting, mixed voice, compression, diaphragm, support, etc. But I was surprised how much stuff I had to relearn and start from scratch while doing extreme vocals. That's a common thing, you know, but there is one important thing, and maybe not even detail, that's a huge thing, but Surprisingly, the most of people overlook that. They try to like invent a wheel once again when they already have that wheel and they use it. So it's good to find common points between extreme vocals and singing. The level of support or muscles that you use for the support, and the resonance, the setting of your voice, how you lead the voice, what is the shape of your voice, and the sound color that you use for singing, and if it's effective to use that sound color from singing for screaming, but of course without the voice itself, but with the distortion. It's good to look for things that work similar when you scream and when you sing, because then you will save much time and probably nerves, because you will not look for new things, new sensations, but rather you will learn how to use what you already know for new tricks. And believe it or not, the breath support, especially supporting muscles, the airflow management, and the resonance are very similar things in singing and screaming. Okay, so let's get back to the message. I am sending you 2 recordings. One is false chord, one fry attempt. I haven't practiced much, only when I got free time. Maybe once a week for a couple of minutes, but I made huge progress when you sent me that audio from your client doing fry exercises. Before that, my throat would be sore and dry afterwards, but now I don't have those issues, and fry is much more powerful and consistent. So I am very curious how it will sound. Still, for I would like to hear your thoughts and advice what I should work on. Kindest regards, Soul Takers. Cool. Thank you for such a detailed message. It's always great to have a bigger and deeper background beside the recording itself. So I appreciate that effort to deliver us as much information as possible. Soul Takers is an experienced, probably decent vocalist dealing daily with belting, with mixed voice. He knows how to use compression, the breath support. He was surprised how much he needed to relearn and kind of like adapt what he knew to the new tricks that he was learning from scratch. And my recording that I've sent him on email was helpful for him to make his fry effortless and bigger and sharper, which is great. Anyway, let's give a listen. And again, what is good, what requires fixing, and how to do it. Whoa! It sounds good. I don't have anything like to fix beside not trying to sustain the scream for too long, because last 2 or 3 seconds of the first attempt for the fry scream were like you definitely had too little air to sustain that sound for longer, and it started to create tension not only in the diaphragm area but also your larynx and your throat. It's very important to not try sustain even single screams or trying to throw too many words on a single breath, because our voice will be tired much faster because of those constrictions that appear whenever we try to sustain, scream, or throw too many words on a single breath for too long. Yeah, and this is the constricted part around here. It's only because you were running out of breath. Okay, and the second attempt. Maybe too intense, like like you were so tight during that screaming attempt, or you had so much air. It's good to take care of especially the endings of phrases and the screams and so on, especially when you record songs in the studio or at home. It will increase the quality of your vocals decently when the endings won't be like whoa, whoa, but they will be smoothly finished. Wow, 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 instead of wow, wow, wow. So as you see or hear or both, I don't know, we can always do something better than we do. Summing up the fry screen part from soul takers, take care of not sustaining your screams, no matter if it's a single scream or you produce words in a verse or something, or even in a single line. Don't try to do it for too long on one breath. It's better and more effective to take short, fast zips of air instead of trying to throw next words or to sustain a single scream for too long. And take care of the endings as well. It's not like more like it sounds so much better. And now the third and the last for today's analysis recording.
My final breath to the boiler of death.
We have another fry scream attempt. That's very, very interesting. Okay, so we have the recording from Benjamin. And let's see what Benjamin. Let me know, Benjamin, if that's the proper way of pronouncing your name, by the way. In Polish, it would be Benjamin. Anyway, let's see what Benjamin has to tell us. Hello, dear friend. I'm Benjamin from Iran. Please help me. I have been practicing for a month and I am not sure about my fry scream, whether I do it right or not. And I am happy if you have any advice for me. What should I focus on from now on? Thanks for taking the time. Best wishes for you. Thank you, Benjamin. Best wishes for you as well from Poland. Iran must be an interesting place to live in. I have a couple of friends, vocal friends from Iran. It's not the best place for metalheads, sadly, but I am happy you keep on doing your thing and you follow your passion. This is something I really respect. It's not like here in Europe or US. We do vocals, we are happy, we listen to heavy music. You can have serious problems. I guess it depends on the area where you live, but overall it's not too colorful. Benjamin is practicing only for a month on his own, and he is already able to produce a fry scream. Not the biggest one, not the highest one, not the lowest one. A fry scream, a basic fry scream. Very good. It's not obvious to learn how to fry scream on your own in a matter of only a month. I received emails from 3 people independently that were struggling with learning the fry screen for 7 and 8 years. That's a long time. So if someone on his own is able to learn even a basic fry screen only in a month, that's a huge thing, for me at least. But of course, I practice with people who are able to learn fry scream, even practice songs after 2 lessons. And I am like, I needed like over 2 years to be able to do it. And there is a guy who, after only one lesson, and during the second lesson, which is the first time that he tries to scream in his entire life, he just nails it. I am happy, but also a little bit jealous, but more happy and proud. So stuff like this happens, but overall, that's a great progress for only 1 month. Let's give a listen once again. The ending, few seconds before I stopped, that was a moment when Fry relaxed a bit and then expanded. That was a really nice thing to observe, like some physical or chemical process, when the substance is just like, and slowly it grows or something. Anyway, let's listen to the further part of the recording.
My final breath to the boiler of death.
That's a common thing. I mean that when we do vowels or syllables without consonants in any language, and then fry scream sounds cool, it flows free, it's sharp, we can do it high, we can do it low, we can do it on a mid pitch, we can brighten the sound color, wow, and we have much more control, and the quality of the sound seems to be much higher than when we try to pronounce words and scream words and the lines, and especially consonants. Consonants are a little hoarse, because they demand higher tension than vowels. So if you noticed the difference, a quality gap between the beginning of the recording with those whoa, wow, and doing words and so on, it's because of those consonants, the articulation of consonants, which is causing higher tension. So in the beginning, it's very good to focus on the articulation of vowels. It can be a, e, I, o, u, I, or a, I, o, u, y, e, or other vowels in any language. Most importantly, in the beginning, in your native language. And additionally, in the second language that you know well. But most importantly, in the beginning, when it comes to the fry screen practice, try to focus on vowels in your native language. In Poland, it's like a, e, I, o, u, I. And beside hitting hard a vowel like because now even when I do it, it's a little bit, instead of just smooth and soft, you can do more like ha, ha, ha. That little in the beginning can help you to soften the very beginning of the scream. So in the beginning, it can be like ha, 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 he, he, ha, 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 hu, 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 he, he. Instead of e, so that little can help you to begin softer and avoid too high tension in your larynx. So ha, he, ha, hu, he. Then you can try with just vowels without those. But with the fry, it's very common that, for example, a sounds a little bit like hey, hey, hey. So there is that, but it's so small that with the music in the background of vocals, we don't notice it. So sometimes, so now I do a little hey, 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 hey. But that part is so small and the focus so much goes on A part that it's hard to hear. Hey, hey. Okay, so this is what you can do in the beginning, and when you practice only for around a month. The next thing, syllables. It can be yeah, whoa,
Wow!
wow.
Wow! Wow!
Yeah, sometimes syllables are just single syllable words like how or hey. I know, I know. After syllables, you can try to pronounce single syllable words. Die, fly, my, they, you.
Yow! Yo! Die! 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 Fly! 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 Fly!
Did I tell why? Why is pretty good for mids, mid-highs, and highs.
Why? 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 Why?
When single syllable words separately are good, you can try to pronounce them one after another, like it was a line in the lyrics. Fly high, die my why.
Fly, my die, shy, why? Fly, die, my shy, why? Fly, die, my why? Shy.
Something like this. Important thing is to learn how to accent the vowels. So the accent when we sing or when we scream should always go on vowels, because first of all, vowels create lesser tension, which means that the sound is more free, it can expand, it can get bigger, it can get more focused, sharper, it's fuller, it's not so noisy and tight as consonants. And once you will master that and it will get easier, then you can start to practice with actual lines from actual lyrics. They can be your lyrics, it can be in your native language, it can be easier in the beginning, it can be in English or other language that you know good as well, and you can practice word after word after word. So let's take an example. Awaken, my brothers, of vengeance we rise. So it can be like,
Awaken, my brothers, of vengeance we rise.
it can be something like this, or you can make even shorter breaks between words.
Awaken, my brothers, of vengeance we rise.
Or
Awaken, my brothers.
and our aim is to be able to perform that line or two lines in the original tempo of the song. So if it goes like awaken my brothers, of vengeance we rise. That's our aim, but in the beginning it can be like 70% of that tempo or even 50% of the tempo, or you can make even a couple of seconds of break between each of the word. So everything has to be simple and has to be flexible. Everything has to be adapted to your current level of experience and what you are able to do properly. Properly means that it's comfortable, it doesn't tighten your throat and larynx, sounds flow free, and still it's technically a fry.
Awaken.
Even if it's a basic fry scream that I am currently presenting you. So this is how you can progress with your fry scream. It will help you to adapt your voice gradually for pronouncing the consonants, articulating them properly articulating vowels, but in words, accenting the vowels, which are more free, sharper, they sound better and are much more effortless than consonants. Okay, so before we will finish, let's give a listen to the recording once again. Good. I am sure that in a matter of like 2 years or maybe even faster, Benjamin will be a really decent screamer. That's all for today. I hope you liked it and you learned a couple of helpful things about vocals. Thank you very much for your attention. Feel free to send me your recordings and see you next week. Cheers and love, fuckers.